What's up to my future billionaires? Welcome back to another lit video. It's your girl Tarisha, where we talk all things financial literacy, where I help you get after the bag. So before we get into it, welcome back to my billionaire gang. If you guys are new, welcome to the billionaire family, okay? Make sure you subscribe and also turn on your post bell notifications. That way you're not missing out on the free sauce. Also, y'all, make sure you give me a big old thumbs up. And also make sure you leave some comments on any additional content that you would like for me to touch on so I can put some money into your pocket. Today, y'all, as you can see from the title, we are going to talk about how you can start a business and make money with no money. Now, y'all may be saying, well, yeah, how can I do that? Guys, I'm going to walk you through on how to properly set up your business. That way you can get funding accordingly, right? For those of you guys who don't know, I help people get $50,000 to $100,000 in business funding to help grow and scale their businesses. So the first thing you're gonna do when you're first starting out, you wanna figure out the name, right? And once you figure out the name, you wanna go to your Secretary of State website and do a fictitious name search. That way you can know if you're legally able to operate under that name. So that whether you're in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, California, Wisconsin, wherever you are, each state is like normally on your Secretary of State website where you're able to do a fictitious name search. So you will type whatever name it is that you wanna do. As long as it's available, you can then move to step numero dos. That's where you want to choose your legal structure. So there's a few legal structures, right, when it comes to forming your company, right? So you have your LLC, whether it's a partnership or just sole or like solely you. You have a sole proprietorship as well, where you're just operating underneath your social security number. Then you also have your S Corp and C Corps. Those are like higher up, right? So it really all depends on what makes sense for you. Each individual is going to have a different legal structure that is going to work for them. Now, when I get individuals business funding, I say, make sure you have an LLC, a C Corp, or S Corp. That is what I do when I'm able to get people funding, right? So after that step, once you choose your business entity, right, you're going to go on your Secretary of State. That way you can get your articles of organization or certificate of formation. Each state changes the name, but they're basically the same exact thing. So you're going to go on there. That way you're able to legally form your business entity, right? So that's where they're going to ask you if you're going to be an LLC, a C Corp, a S Corp, a sole proprietor, or if you're going to be an LLC partnership or a single member LLC, right? It will walk you through, and that's the thing I love. Like, anyone can create their business entity. It's just having the knowledge and having the websites and things like that, right? So once you do that, you're then going to get your permits and licensing, right? So you want to make sure that you go on irs.gov. That way you could get your EIN. It's absolutely free, guys. Do not pay for your EIN. Unless you're paying a company to form your company, then of course you're going to have to pay. But when it comes to the EIN, even when they do it for you, no one's paying for that. It's free. It's on irs.gov and you get your EIN that way. Depending on, let's say you have an Amazon store or you have a retail store, you're selling something, right? Or you're operating, you normally have to have a business license showing that you are able to sell goods, right? Or you're able to sell services and collect money. So make sure that you also get the proper business license or licenses in order to avoid from being fined in the event that you are audited. Also, guys, make sure for step 5, make sure you have insurance. Depending on what type of business it is that you're in, I just recommend having business insurance regardless, because when you're in business, people will and or may try to sue you. So you just want to make sure that you're covering all bases. That way you don't run into a situation where you may end up getting sued or what have you, and you don't even have insurance to help cover you. So just make sure that you are, doing your due diligence and getting your proper business insurance. You can always consult with a lawyer. You could just literally Google business insurance and see what pops up, and then interview them, see what best fits you, get some quotes, and then keep it moving, right? Make sure you have a business bank account, right? Depending on the bank, it's going to be between $50 and $100 that you need to deposit into your checking and or savings, right? You have to make sure that you also ask them, is there a minimum daily balance that you have to hold in order to avoid actual charges, right? So there's some banks, right, where depending on the different tier levels, you may have to have $5,000 in your bank account in order to avoid a $5 monthly service charge or a $25 monthly service charge. It all depends on who the bank is. So make sure as you're out here building these relationships and talking with these banks, you're also not going to banks that may not be suitable for you at that given moment, especially considering, I'm assuming you clicked on this because you really want to know how you can start a business with no money, right? So I just wanted to give you guys a quick synopsis on how you will start the business and how to properly structure it. That way you can get business funding, right? So once all those things are said and done, and guess what, guys? Yes, you can create your LLC today and get funding today. Your LLC can be 1 day old and you can get funding. Now I say I would wait like a week, right? Because that's just based on like my previous experience and how I operate. But I've known people who actually would create an LLC and they can get funding that same day, right? Now people are gonna ask, so what if I'm not generating revenue and things like that? There's this thing called a no-doc business loan. No-doc business lines of credit, no-doc business credit cards. Now, in your case, and for most people, when it comes to getting funding, right, you normally have to be in business for 2 years in order to get a business line of credit or a business loan, right? Because they're going to ask for your 2 years tax returns. You have nothing to show, so we will automatically default to everyone's favorite business credit cards where you have 0% interest anywhere from 6 to 18 months. Now, you're wondering, well, again, I don't generate revenue, so how am I going to be able to get business funding if I don't have any revenue? Luckily, a lot of business credit cards, 99.9 times out of 10, as long as you're filling the application out correctly, they are going to give you a bag, right? With no docs. They are not asking for your bank statements. They're not asking for your W-2s. They're not asking for any of that. However, the caveat to that is that you do need to have a certain credit profile. So you need to have at least a 680 credit score. You need to have at least 2 credit cards with $2,500 limits or higher. Your utilization on those credit cards across the board needs to be 30% or below. I prefer 10% or below because it just shows that you're extremely responsible. It shows the banks that you're extremely responsible with your credit versus being at 90% and they're not going to give you any money because you are seen as a risk. No matter if you're at an 850, it's still a risk that the banks have to take on because you may or may not pay. Your score can only do but so much for you, right? So that's why it comes down to the structure. You also, the more primary trade lines that you have, the better. So if you have a mortgage on your report, if you have a car on your report, if you have a couple credit cards, student loans, guys, student loans are not bad. As long as they are not 30 days late, 60 days late, 90 days late in collections, then you're good. A lot of people, when I have consultation calls when I'm doing their credit, they will think that their student loans need to get removed from their credit report before they do anything because they're like, oh no, I can't have student loans. I know it looks bad. I'm like, no. That actually helps with your 100% on-time payment history, which is the next one that you need to have. You need to have 100% on-time payment history or one max late payment that is 1 year old at least. So you can't have any late payments. If you do, it can only be 1. You also cannot have any derogatory marks or no collections. So if you do have those, listen, you can always text this number right here and just text credit and we can get you squared away with a free credit consultation where I can see how I can be beneficial to you and helping you structure your profile accordingly and then get you business funding. So anyone interested in business funding and or credit repair, text this number right here, funding or credit repair, depending on what you want. And my team and I will help get you squared away, okay? So if you are on the other side of the spectrum where you have all of those things, you just created a business that is now fundable. You will be able to get $50,000 to $100,000 in business funding. So if that's you, again, text this number, okay? It's really, I feel like in society, people try making things harder than what they are. Guys, it's really that simple. Like when people say easy peasy, it is easy peasy. Now, granted, if your credit isn't where it needs to be, guess what? I'm sure you know at least 1, 2, or 10 people who may be in a position where their credit is structured accordingly. Your grandma, your pop, your mom, your dad, your auntie, your uncle, whomever, your friend's parents. Guess what? You can incentivize them. If your credit profile is not structured accordingly, you can always speak to them and say, hey, you know what? I have this business. I'm looking to get some funding for my business. You know, you guys can come up with an agreement and things like that. And then guess what? You now can get 50 to 100K and flip that money. And if you want to break them off a piece, give them $1,000, $2,000 for their time, so be it. Be creative, guys. We have to be extremely creative. So that is it in a nutshell, how you can literally start a business, a brand new business with no money, start making money with no money by, again, leveraging your credit. So let's do a recap on what you need in order to be fundable. You want to do your fictitious name search. Then you want to figure out your legal structure. Do you want an LLC, a C Corp, a S Corp, partnership, or what have you? Then you want to register your business entity, right? You're going to go on Secretary of State to register your business, and that will be like your articles of organization or certificate of formation, depending on what state you're in. That should be where you're able to register your business, to legally form it on Secretary of State or Division of Corporation, right? After that, you want to make sure that you get your permits, right? So you want to make sure that you get your business license, right? You want to make sure you go on irs.gov to get your EIN. Make sure you also get your insurance just in case, right? Get some insurance quotes. The insurance is not too much money, and trust me, it will save you a lot of money in the long run in the event that somebody tries you, okay? After that, set up your business bank account. That way you could just seem even more legit. Again, it helps when you have business bank accounts because especially when you start having money go in and things like that, the banks are going to see that and they are going to be more inclined to give you a business credit card, right? To give you a business loan, to give you a business line of credit. Now, granted, you don't need a business bank account. I've funded plenty of people who don't have business bank accounts. But again, the more relationships that you build, your network is your net worth, okay? So get at least one business bank account. And again, you want to be legit, okay? After that, it comes your credit. That's how you get funded, right? Whether it's your credit or someone else's credit, just make sure you have between a 680 and 700 credit score, 2 or more primary credit cards, so not authorized users, 2 primary credit cards with at least $2,500 limits. You want to make sure 3, that your utilization is 30% or below. 4, you do not want to have any derogatory marks at all, none at all. 100% on-time payment history, or you can have one late payment max that is at least 1 year old, okay? At least 1 year old. You cannot have any collections at all. That's all you really need in a nutshell. You don't need to build your business credit in order to get business credit. So hopefully that helped, guys. Listen, Billionaire Game, I'm super excited. Make sure, again, you turn on your post bell notification. That way, when I'm giving out this free sauce and putting some money in your pocket, you won't be missing out. Until next time, again, drop some comments on anything that you want me to talk about when it comes to putting money in your pocket, because that's what we're here for. And I'll see y'all next time. We out.